Cool. So I've got Gina here. So welcome, Gina. Thanks for taking the time. Feel free to just introduce yourself and just give us a bit of background as to who you are and what it is that you do.
Yeah, sure. So I started out as a branding and packaging designer, and I've kind of like recently started to revamp myself as a product launch designer. So now I'm focusing completely on e-commerce, e-commerce design for people that basically come to me with a product, and then everything that they want to do to get that product in front of other people. That's all of the things that I help with.
Awesome. So take me through, I can't remember how many months it's been now, maybe like 3 or 4 or 5 potentially,
Yeah,
since
I
you've been
think
in
I
the program.
started September.
September? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Take me through where you were at in September in your business that made you think that profitable designer was a good next step.
Mhm. So I have been seeing a lot of ads for design coaching programs. They were very, I guess you could say, like heavily branded. Like there was clearly a lot of effort that went into them, but I didn't really see evidence of the people who created these courses or mentorships actually really like bringing, number amounts to the table. Like they would say they were six-figure designers, but I didn't really see anything kind of like that would lead me to believe that was actually true. And I was already at the point where I was making six figures in my design business, but um, I was tapped out in terms of hours. I was working pretty much like 30, 35 hours a week, like as many as I was comfortable. But, unless you can raise your prices, then there's not really anything else that you can do to kind of, bring in more profits. So I was kind of at a loss as to how I could do that. And obviously, when I saw your program, it's very straight to the point. I really honestly felt like you were probably one of the only people that could actually help me with where I was at, because I had already kind of surpassed the point that other people would have been able to help me achieve.
Got it. And so you feel like it was more of like a getting clients wasn't really the issue. It was really how do we increase the quality and what are the kind of system changes to now move beyond like a six-figure run rate?
Yeah, absolutely. Because, I was acquiring clients, but they weren't the clients that I needed in order to kind of like create those price hikes that would allow me to be more profitable.
Got it. And take me through, and this is I've learned through asking other people. This is pretty open-ended question, but like, how have you enjoyed the experience in the program so far? So like, what kind of topics that we cover have you gravitated towards, and maybe what kind of component of the program have you gravitated towards? Do you find the one-on-ones or the group calls or the actual training platform is where you're getting the most value? Like, feel free to answer that however you want.
Honestly, obviously I went through all of the training platforms, but I took basic notes, but the most value is definitely from the one-on-one calls, and then secondary would be the group calls. I do feel like I book in, pretty consistent calls with you. I always have new questions. You're always happy to answer them. And then on the group calls, sometimes questions that I don't even think of pop up, and that's super helpful as well. Um, I think the modules are great for people who are kind of, maybe at an earlier starting point than I was, but at the same time, they were still valuable to me. It was really just the true value of being able to speak to you whenever I had a question that maybe wasn't covered. And, your willingness to pretty much answer anything, even if it's, a little bit off the topic of what we initially were starting with.
Got it. So do you feel like maybe, I mean, once you've kind of established and built a base, it becomes more like we don't have to do a lot more to progress. It's really about thinking the right way about specific things. And kind of like what we've been covering is kind of attitudes to how we conduct ourselves with clients and how that impacts like the what we charge and the boundaries of the engagement. So do you feel like it's more kind of a like an attitude and a mindset kind of thing that you're getting out of the program as well?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I had confidence in my design work, but I didn't have confidence as an entrepreneur business at the beginning. So that is where it has helped me the most, is even just helping me like realize like, hey, I need to start pricing based on the value that I'm bringing to the table. I need to start offering services that are going to help people get as many steps ahead in their journey as they possibly can, because that's the things that people are willing to pay for. And, you know, just in general, starting to think of myself as a business owner and entrepreneur rather than, you know, just a designer making pretty things.
Awesome. Got it. Um, Take me through like the biggest aha moment. Maybe you might have more than one of them that you've had since being in the program. Like those kind of like things click and then it completely, you know, changes the way that you perceive things. Like, have you had any of those?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the first thing would be kind of what I just mentioned, just realizing like, hey, you know, fancy branding might not matter. Like you have to pitch yourself in a different way in order to help clients understand, you know, and work their heads around like their perception of your value, because you know how valuable you are, but the clients, like they just don't necessarily understand it. And kind of another epiphany was just the fact that, you know, people love to throw buzzwords and like, you know, very fancy like design related words into their proposals and things like that. People don't understand it, you know, so it was super important for me to kind of learn like that I need to dumb things down a little bit and just, you know, talk to people like they're people instead of, you know, a junior designer or something like that.
That's a good way of putting it. Don't talk to people like they're a junior designer. Um, so, I mean, obviously you're still relatively fresh in the program, but what kind of results have you seen in implementing the thinking and the strategies?
hmm you know, like, as you know, due to the kind of all of the stuff that I have going on right now, it's been a little bit slow going, but even just like I don't even feel like I've made anywhere near the changes that I need to. Like there are a lot more changes to go in the program that I haven't even addressed yet. And I've already been able to like, I would say triple my pricing. And there's still so much more for me to do in the program, like so many more steps for me to take to, you know, increase that profitability that, you know, there's a lot coming up that I'm excited for.
Nice. What do you feel like? Where do you feel like? And there might be multiple answers to this, but like, where do you think the tripling came from? Do you feel like you're structurally delivering like considerably more different stuff, or is it just how you're thinking about how you charge and you know what the language and what the topic of conversation is with the prospect? Like, take me through where you feel like the shifts are in the way that you behave or what you do that allow you to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think a lot of it goes back to my former point of, you know, learning how to talk to clients properly. Um, Instead of them just asking for a price and then kind of like, you know, just throwing the price at them, I actually deliver like a more tailored proposal. I kind of was already doing that, but I wasn't focusing on conveying like the project impact and goals so that they kind of knew, you know, it would reiterate what they were looking to accomplish, kind of like make them feel heard and like I could really get them there. Um, and then in regards to the pricing, I also started selling basically the exact same things that I was before, just at higher price points. And then I've also kind of like developed sort of like a variety of price points depending on how far along someone is in their business as well. And then
Nice.
kind of like tailoring, you know, not the effort, but the deliverables in order to kind of like maximize the cost effectiveness for smaller businesses as well, and make sure that, you know, that it's proportionate with the amount of work that I'm doing for them versus a larger company.
Nice. Yeah, it's like that next level of detail that actually takes into account who we're speaking to, instead of just like saying no, I can't work with you. You're actually trying to engineer an offer where you're still profitable,
Mhm.
where yeah, no, we might not be necessarily working as long as we do on a standard project, you mean?
Mhm.
Yeah, cool. Um, so so based on based on that and the direction that you're heading, like how has this changed the way that you look at your business moving forwards?
Um, I mean, I feel like there's just so much more potential, really. And there are so many different, routes that I can explore that will, bring me more profitability and allow me to dedicate more of my time into things that I actually like doing instead of feeling like I have to be a one-man show and kind of run through everything myself and shoulder like the entire burden of a massive project. It kind of, it opened my eyes to the possibility of actually having like contractors on a team, outsourcing things to make stuff easier on me, and really focus on the high level things that only I am able to accomplish or do for my own business, rather than spending 10 hours tweaking a logo until it's like absolutely perfect for this client that literally doesn't even know what a good logo is. And I'm breaking my back. And then, to see that maybe it doesn't go anywhere in the future or anything like that. Instead, I'm getting them something still great, but not like agonizing over the minor details, so that I can take like that focus and effort and put it back into, what's generating revenue for me.
Amazing. Yeah, no, thank you for the insight, Gina, and taking the time, and we'll chat again really soon, but greatly appreciated.
Thanks.